The gold in a creek, the quartz on the slope, the gravel beneath your feet, even the shape of an old mountain, none of it truly began in the present. That is one of the most important truths in geology, because most people see the landscape as it is now: a mountain, a ridge, a stream, a gravel bar, a piece of quartz, a stain in the rock, a fragment of mineralized ground, and they think of these things as part of the present surface world. But geology sees something else. It sees inheritance. It sees the visible result of processes that began millions of years ago, sometimes far deeper below the surface than the modern landscape could ever suggest. That is what makes the Earth so extraordinary. The present is not separate from the ancient past. The present is often only its latest visible layer. That is what this video is about: how the Earth's oldest processes still shape what we find today. Because if you want to understand why gold appears in certain drainages, why quartz cuts through a mountain slope, why mineral-rich ground exists in one place but not another, or why some landscapes seem to carry a deeper logic than others, you almost always have to begin far earlier than the present. Much earlier. Before the stream, before the valley, before the mountain took its modern shape. Sometimes before the surface we now walk on even existed in anything like its present form. That is the first great lesson. What we find today is often not the work of today alone. It is the visible edge of processes the Earth began long ago. The first of those old processes is deep heat and pressure. This is where much of the hidden story begins. Valuable things in the Earth do not usually begin as loose pieces waiting at the surface. They begin in deeper environments, under pressure, under heat, within buried rock, inside systems where movement, chemistry, and time all work together in ways the surface rarely shows directly. This matters because many of the materials people care about in the field — gold, quartz, altered rock, metallic minerals, crystal-bearing systems — often began in a deeper earth than the landscape now suggests. Gold-bearing fluids moved through buried rock. Quartz formed in fractures. Mineral systems developed in zones of heat, stress, and reaction. Rock changed under pressure and metamorphism. The Earth built hidden value below long before erosion ever gave the surface a chance to reveal it. This is one reason geology can feel almost unsettling in its scale. A quiet stream today may owe its gold to processes that began in rock that was once buried far below. A quartz vein on a mountain slope may be the exposed remnant of a fluid system that formed in a hotter, deeper crustal world. A gravel layer in a valley bottom may contain material whose first story began under conditions that no longer exist at the surface at all. That is why deep heat and pressure matter so much. They are part of the earliest architecture of hidden mineral ground. They created the conditions in which certain kinds of rock changed, certain fluids moved, certain minerals formed, and certain buried systems became possible. But even heat and pressure alone are not enough. The Earth also needed pathways. That is where fracture and faulting become essential. The crust is not a smooth, sealed container. It breaks, it folds, it cracks, it shears, it opens along zones of weakness. Contacts form between different rock bodies. Pressure reorganizes the rock into structures that later fluids and mineral systems can use. That is a critical idea. What we find today is often shaped by very old structural logic: ancient faults, fracture systems, shear zones, veins, broken belts of stone that once acted as roots for movement within the crust. This is why the Earth's old fractures still matter. They are not only scars, they are pathways. And pathways explain so much. Why minerals concentrated where they did. Why quartz followed one trend but not another. Why altered rock appears in belts instead of random patches. Why one mountain slope looks ordinary while another feels geologically charged with history. The present surface often still reflects those old pathways. Not always in a simple way, not always visibly all at once. But the hidden logic is often still there. The Earth broke in certain places. The fluids moved through those places. Minerals formed through those places. And what the surface reveals now is often still controlled by those ancient decisions. That is the second great lesson. The present terrain is not random. It still follows structures older than the terrain itself. And then there are the fluids. This is where the story becomes even more revealing. Because deep heat and broken pathways alone do not fully explain hidden mineral systems. The Earth also needed movement through those pathways. Mineral-rich fluids, hot waters, reactive solutions moving through fractured rock, cooling, changing chemistry, leaving material behind. This is one of the great hidden acts of geology. Far below the surface, fluids can move through broken crust and gradually deposit quartz, sulfides, gold-bearing minerals, and other valuable materials into veins, altered zones, and host rock. This is how much hidden mineral wealth is built. Not as surface glitter, not as instant treasure, but as chemistry inside a broken earth. That means many of the things we later find in the field began as deep, invisible processes. Quartz in an outcrop, gold-bearing structure in mountain rock, altered host zones, heavy minerals later released into streams. All of these may trace back to very old fluid events hidden within ancient crust. This is why the land often feels wiser than it looks, because the rock beneath the visible surface may still be carrying the results of those buried processes. And once those minerals were formed, the Earth still was not finished. The buried world had to become visible. That required uplift. This is the next ancient process that still shapes what we find today. Rock that forms at depth does not become part of the surface without being brought upward. Mountain building, crustal thickening, regional uplift, tectonic change over enormous spans of time. These are what allow buried worlds to rise. That means old mountains are not only scenic high ground, they are often exposed fragments of deeper geological environments. A mountain ridge today may be showing rock that once lay far below the surface. An altered belt may now be visible only because the overlying layers were raised and then slowly removed. A quartz system on a slope may be the last exposed remnant of a once buried structure. This is what makes old terrain so important. It is not merely old, it is exposed. The Earth has brought some part of its hidden system upward, close enough for time to work on it. And that brings us to the next process, erosion. Without erosion, much of the hidden world would remain sealed. This is one of the great paradoxes of Earth history. Erosion destroys, but erosion also reveals. It strips away cover. It cuts through mountains. It exposes veins. It opens old fracture zones. It weathers host rock. It releases fragments downslope. It makes the deep visible, but only gradually, and often only in pieces. That is why erosion is so important in the story of what we find today. Because the gold in a creek, the quartz on a slope, the mineral fragments in old gravels, the altered rock in a gully, and the exposed structures in a mountain face may all owe their visibility to long erosion. Time uncovered them. Time broke them out of the mountain. Time weakened the host rock. Time opened the source to the surface world. And as soon as erosion began releasing those materials, another ancient process took over. Transport. Once released from their buried setting, materials do not remain where they began forever. Gravity moves them. Slope wash moves them. Gullies gather them. Ancient rivers carry them. Streams sort them. Gravels preserve them. This is where the Earth's oldest processes stop looking deep and hidden and begin shaping the visible surface in a way people can recognize. A quartz fragment on a slope is not just a stone. It may be a piece of a deeper history brought upward, weathered free, and moved downslope by time. A gold-bearing drainage is not only the work of the present stream, it may be the inheritor of ancient release, old river transport, repeated sorting, and preserved concentration. This is why ancient water matters so much. Deep Earth created the hidden mineral system, but water redistributed what deep Earth created. This is the next great layer of the story. Ancient rivers were often the first major systems to gather and sort released materials across the landscape. They took what mountains and slopes fed into them and began selecting by weight, size, density, and flow. They built old gravels, old terraces, old channel fills, early placer ground. They preserved the first meaningful concentration of heavies in the landscape. And the remarkable thing is that much of that ancient river logic still survives today. Modern streams often cut into ancient gravels. Modern valleys often inherit old transport paths. Modern gold ground often carries the memory of water long gone. That means the land we see now is not only shaped by what the earth formed deep below, but also by how ancient water later redistributed it. So when you find gold in a creek today, you may be looking at the result of several ancient processes layered together. Deep heat and pressure formed the original system. Fractures gave fluids a path. Minerals were deposited in buried rock. Uplift brought that rock closer to the surface. Erosion exposed and released it. Ancient rivers moved and sorted it. Modern streams inherited and reworked what remained. That is not just a surface story. That is deep time in visible form. And this is why old landscapes matter so much. Old mountains, old gravels, old channels, terraces, benches, weathered source ground. Quiet valleys that seem modest now, but preserve older transport history. These places matter because they preserve more than scenery. They preserve the Earth's older decisions. That may be the best way to think about it. The land is the record of decisions the Earth made long ago, where the crust broke, where fluids moved, where minerals formed, where the mountains rose, where erosion cut, where ancient rivers built and left their gravels, where the present inherited all of it. That is why what looks ordinary can still carry extraordinary meaning. A gravel bar is not just gravel. It may be ancient transport memory. A quartz seam is not just white stone. It may be the surviving edge of a buried fluid event. A stained outcrop is not just color. It may be the weathered signature of old alteration. A modern creek is not just a stream. It may be the latest worker in a landscape whose first gold logic began millions of years ago. This is also why geology changes the way a person sees the world. It takes the present and restores depth to it. The surface stops being flat in time. Now everything becomes layered. The mountain belongs to uplift and pressure. The quartz belongs to fluids and fracture. The gold belongs to deep formation and later sorting. The gravel belongs to ancient transport and preservation. The creek belongs to inheritance as much as to present flow. That is what the Earth's oldest processes still shape. Not only the hidden things below us, but the visible things around us. The shape of the land, the kinds of rock exposed, the material in the drainage, the locations of old gravels, the concentration of gold, the pathways of quartz and minerals. Even the quiet logic that makes one landscape feel richer, older, and more meaningful than another. All of it is connected. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson in this whole subject. What we find today is rarely only the work of the present. The surface world may look immediate, but it is ancient in its causes. The visible landscape is often the final, readable layer of processes that began long before any modern stream, road, valley, or human name existed. That is what makes geology so powerful. It teaches that the Earth is not just a place, it is a history still in motion. And the gold, quartz, minerals, mountains, gravels, and channels we see today are not isolated features. They are the surviving expressions of an older Earth that still speaks through the present. So if there is one truth worth carrying away from this entire video, it is this. What we find today is rarely only the work of the present. It is often the visible result of the Earth's oldest processes, still speaking through stone, gravel, water, and time. If you enjoy thoughtful videos about gold, geology, ancient landscapes, hidden minerals, and the deeper history still written into the Earth, subscribe to Reading the Earth and follow along. Because the more carefully we read the land, the more clearly we begin to understand that what lies on the surface today is not the beginning of the story. It is only what time has allowed us to see.